The crystalline spires of the Concordat flagship Eternal Harmony glittered against the velvet backdrop of space, its massive form dwarfing the Earth shuttle that approached its docking bay. Inside, Commander Elena Reyes straightened her formal diplomatic uniform, the silver and blue of Earth's interstellar corps catching the artificial light. "Final approach, Commander," her pilot announced. "The Concordat representatives await your arrival for the 50th anniversary celebration of First Contact." Elena nodded, her expression carefully neutral despite the flutter of unease that had plagued her for weeks. "Thank you, Lieutenant. Remember protocol. Maintain communications blackout unless I activate emergency channels." The shuttle settled into the cavernous docking bay, where 17 representatives of the Galactic Concordat awaited. Each alien form was more bizarre than the last. The towering crystalline meridians, the hovering, gaseous Vexcar, and most unsettling, Senior Counselor Karvoth, whose cephalopod body rippled with iridescent colors beneath ceremonial robes. "Commander Reyes," Exarvoth's voice resonated through his translator. Tentacles undulating in what humans had been taught was a gesture of welcome. "Earth's finest diplomat honors us with her presence." Elena bowed precisely to the depth specified in diplomatic protocols. "The honor is humanity's, Counselor. 50 years of guidance from the Concordat has elevated our species immeasurably." The reception proceeded according to the meticulously planned schedule. Speeches extolled the virtues of cooperation, ceremonial gifts were exchanged, and Elena performed her rehearsed address on humanity's gratitude. Yet something felt wrong. Subtle glances between representatives, untranslated clicks and whistles exchanged when they thought no humans were paying attention. During the ceremonial toast, it happened. A momentary power fluctuation, less than a second, caused the neural translators to falter. In that instant, the ceremonial masks of the alien representatives slipped, revealing expressions Elena had never seen before. The Vexcar's gaseous form condensed into what could only be described as a predatory shape. The meridian's crystalline structures aligned into sharp, aggressive formations. And Exarvoth, his tentacles twisted into what Elena's instincts recognized as unmistakable satisfaction. To Earth's coming enlightenment, Exarvoth announced when the translators resumed, raising a vessel containing luminescent fluid. "To enlightenment," Elena echoed, the words ashen in her mouth. Later that night, while the delegates retired to their quarters, Elena enacted a plan she prepared but hoped never to use. Using access codes provided by Earth's Covert Intelligence Division, she bypassed security protocols on a maintenance terminal, her fingers flying over the unfamiliar interface. She accessed subspace frequencies that humans were supposedly unaware of, and began downloading encrypted transmissions. What she found shattered everything. Project Harvest, Human Innovation Extraction, Phase II Implementation Timeline, Subjugation Protocols for Sol System, Neurological Compliance Measures for the Adaptables. File after file revealed the truth. For 50 years, the 17 species of the Galactic Concordat hadn't been mentors. They'd been farmers. Earth wasn't being guided. It was being cultivated. Human creativity and adaptability were resources to be harvested, their innovations extracted, their potential controlled before they became a genuine threat to the established order. A noise behind her. Elena quickly terminated the connection, but not before downloading the evidence to a quantum-encoded chip embedded beneath her fingernail. She turned to find a maintenance drone hovering silently, its sensors focused on her. "Terminal malfunction," she stated calmly. "I was seeking communication access to confirm tomorrow's schedule." The drone processed this, then departed. Elena released her breath slowly. The ship's eye would log the anomalous data transfer. She was now trapped aboard a massive alien vessel with the most damning secret in human history, surrounded by creatures who had planned humanity's subjugation for half a century. And she had to find a way to warn Earth before the Concordat realized their carefully crafted illusion had begun to crack. 3 days after Elena's discovery, a medical transport shuttle departed the Concordat flagship with little fanfare. Among its passengers was a human nurse with diplomatic clearance, her biometric credentials identifying her as Anaya Patel, assigned to Earth's medical liaison team. In truth, she was the third courier in an emergency protocol that Elena had activated through a series of seemingly innocuous interactions with human staff. Anaya carried nothing suspicious. No data drives, no documents. The Concordat scanners detected nothing unusual as she boarded the transport, just as they had found nothing on the previous 2 human staff members who had departed in the last 72 hours. What the alien sensors couldn't detect was the modified RNA sequence injected into her bloodstream, containing Elena's message encoded within junk DNA segments that would appear normal in standard medical scans. 26 hours later, Anaya entered what appeared to be a water purification facility nestled against the shores of Lake Geneva. She was escorted to a medical bay where technicians extracted a blood sample, isolated the modified RNA, and began the process of decoding. Dr. Marcus Chen watched as the genetic message assembled itself on his quantum display, his weathered face illuminated by the blue glow. At 58, he looked older than his years, the weight of a decade-long secret operation etched into the lines around his eyes. "Play the message," he instructed when the assembly was complete. A holographic projection of Elena Reyes materialized before him. Not a recording, but an interactive consciousness imprint constructed from her neural patterns encoded in the transmission. This technology was centuries beyond what humanity had shared with the Concordat. "Marcus," Elena's hologram spoke, her expression grave. "The Concordat's intentions are confirmed. They refer to us as the Adaptables. They've been harvesting our innovations while positioning for full subjugation." The hologram gestured, displaying fragments of the files she'd discovered. "Their timetable for processing has accelerated. We have less time than we thought." Marcus didn't react with surprise, but with grim vindication. He exchanged glances with Admiral Catry, who had been silently observing from the corner of the room. "Show her," the Admiral said quietly. Marcus nodded, approaching a security scanner that required his unique retinal pattern. "Follow me," he said to Elena's hologram, which tracked his movements through the room's sensor network. The massive doors parted to reveal what should have been impossible: a cavernous underground facility stretching nearly a kilometer in each direction. Hundreds of researchers and military personnel moved with purpose around what appeared to be a crystalline lattice structure the size of a skyscraper, pulsing with energy that defied conventional physics. "Welcome to Prometheus," Marcus said, as workers swarmed around the structure, making final adjustments to its intricate networks. "They think they're colonizing us, but some of us have been preparing for war since first contact." Elena's hologram stared in astonishment. "This technology, it's beyond anything in the Concordat files." "That's the point," Marcus replied. "We reverse-engineered some of their basic principles, then developed in directions they've never considered. Humans think differently. It's why they fear us." Admiral Catry stepped forward. "Their fear is justified. With Concordat sensors in orbit, we have only 73 hours before they detect the energy surge needed to activate Prometheus. Are your teams in position on the colonies?" Marcus nodded. "The activation phrase has been distributed. The stars are not our friends. When broadcast, it will activate sleeper cells across 17 systems." Elena's hologram looked troubled. "There are civilian populations who have no idea." "The Concordat plans to process most of them anyway," Admiral Catry interrupted. "We're fighting extinction, Commander Reyes. We need every advantage." A young technician rushed into the chamber. "Sir, we're detecting unusual scan patterns from the Concordat satellites. They may have identified the neural anomalies from the courier transfers." Marcus's expression hardened. "Then we've lost the element of surprise. We need to accelerate the timeline." He turned to Elena's hologram. "Can you maintain your cover on the flagship?" Elena nodded. "For now, but I'll need extraction before they implement full subjugation protocols." "Hold your position," Admiral Catry ordered. "You're our only eyes inside their command structure." As Elena's hologram flickered, Marcus gazed up at the towering Prometheus structure. 50 years of playing the obedient species ends now. It's time humanity showed the Concordat exactly what they should have been afraid of. The Concordat surveillance satellite designated CX-47 detected an anomalous energy spike in Earth's northern hemisphere. Customary protocols initiated an automated probe launch, a sleek insectoid device that streaked through the atmosphere toward the Swiss Alps. It found nothing. The probe's sensors registered only a water purification plant operating within normal parameters. After a systematic sweep of the area, it transmitted an all-clear and resumed standard orbital patterns. 500 meters below the facility, in a chamber shielded by experimental quantum camouflage, humanity's War Council convened. "The probe's gone," a technician announced, relief evident in her voice. "Our technological camouflage held." Admiral Katri nodded curtly, then turned her attention back to the holographic display dominating the center of the room. It showed Concordat battle formations extracted from Elena's intelligence, perfect geometric patterns unchanged for millennia. "Look at these formations," she said, highlighting their mathematical precision. "No variation, no adaptation." She glanced at the 24 military commanders, scientists, and colonial representatives gathered around the table. They'd forgotten something fundamental. They've never faced an enemy that wanted to fight. Marcus Chen stepped forward. "Our anthropological team's analysis confirms it. The Concordat evaluated humanity through the lens of peace. They've studied our art, our technology, our social structures, but they've never truly witnessed our capacity for controlled brutality." A slender young woman with close-cropped hair and glowing blue neural implants rose from her seat. Her name badge identified her as Zora Nwankwo, lead of cyber operations. "Their greatest vulnerability is even more basic," she said, her Lagos accent lilting. "Their neural quantum network, their version of our internet, lacks even elementary security protocols." She raised her hand, revealing a glowing blue node embedded in her palm. "We'd acquired these black market Concordat implants 3 years ago. Since then, my team has inserted dormant viruses throughout their systems." The assembled leaders murmured in surprise. "They've been inside our technology," Zora smiled, tapping the implant. "But now we're inside theirs." Admiral Katri's expression remained grim. "None of this guarantees victory. Their numerical advantage is overwhelming. 17 established species against 1. Their technological edge in conventional weapons is substantial, but not insurmountable," Marcus interjected. "They've evolved in an ecosystem of cooperation. Their weapons are designed for precision and efficiency, not adaptability. They can't comprehend the chaotic nature of human combat tactics." A colonial representative from Europe raised her hand. "What about civilian populations? Most humans still believe the Concordat are our benefactors." Admiral Katri's eyes hardened. "According to Commander Raya's intelligence, the Concordat plans to process most of them anyway. We're fighting extinction." Silence fell over the chamber. The stakes couldn't be clearer. Submission and survival as pets, or resistance, and possible extinction. "We need to vote," Marcus said quietly. "Do we submit to the Concordat's plans for human subjugation, or do we fight, knowing it could mean our end?" The vote took less than 30 seconds. Unanimous. "Operation Lazarus begins now," Admiral Katri declared. "Dr. Chen, what's Prometheus' status?" Marcus consulted his neural interface. 72% operational. "We need another 48 hours for full capacity." "We don't have 48 hours," the Admiral replied. "The Concordat's observation patterns have changed. They're preparing something." As if in confirmation, alarms blared throughout the facility. A technician's voice came through the comm system. "Multiple Concordat vessels breaking orbit. They're moving into tactical formation around major population centers." Admiral Katri's expression didn't change. "It seems they've detected enough to accelerate their timetable." She turned to Marcus. "Deploy the Prometheus protocol at current capacity. and transmit the activation phrase to all colonial sleeper cells. Marcus nodded grimly, inputting commands into his neural interface. Across 17 star systems, human operatives embedded within Concordat societies received the same message. The stars are not our friends. Lazarus rises at dawn. The human resistance was about to reveal itself, and the Concordat was about to learn why they should have feared humanity's capacity for war as much as they coveted its capacity for innovation. A Concordat recruitment ship landed at Sydney Spaceport under the guise of their Galactic Cultural Exchange Program. Elegant banners proclaimed opportunities for humans to experience life among the stars. The reality, as Elena's intelligence had revealed, was far darker. These cultural ambassadors were destined for neural harvesting, their creativity extracted and their bodies discarded. His NVAC, the Meridian Processing Officer, noticed something odd as he scanned the gathered applicants. His crystalline sensory nodes detected identical brainwave patterns across all humans present. Before he could report this anomaly, every screen in the spaceport flickered simultaneously. Across Earth, in homes, offices, spaceports, and colony outposts, all communications devices activated at once. Every human on the planet stopped what they were doing and looked up at the nearest screen. In Concordat observation posts orbiting Earth, alien analysts reported the phenomenon with growing alarm. This level of synchronized communication should be impossible without their neural technology. On every screen appeared Commander Elena Reyes, not as a recording but as a live broadcast. Her appearance had changed. Subtle surgical alterations had given her features the standardized look of a Concordat service droid. She stood in what knowledgeable observers would recognize as the antechamber to the Concordat High Council on Axiom Prime. Citizens of Earth and all human colonies, her voice resonated with calm authority. For 50 years, we have believed the Concordat guided us toward peaceful integration into the galactic community. Today, that illusion ends. In the Lake Geneva facility, Marcus and his team had hijacked the Concordat's own communication relays, ensuring Elena's broadcast reached not just Earth, but every Concordat world simultaneously. Elena continued, her image now surrounded by floating data, classified Concordat directives describing human processing, footage of alien scientists conducting experiments on unconscious humans, and the Concordat's meticulous plans for Earth's subjugation. Humanity knows the truth, she declared. We know of the 17 species that plan to harvest our creativity while discarding our bodies. We know of the neural extraction programs designed to strip our innovations while leaving empty shells. We know everything. On the Concordat flagship, Hexarvoth watched with mounting rage as humanity's diplomat exposed 5 decades of careful planning. His primary tentacles writhed as he barked orders to trace and terminate the broadcast. Elena's voice remained steady. To the Concordat High Council and all member species, humanity delivers its response, not as supplicants, but as equals. Our terms are simple. Recognize Earth's full sovereignty, withdraw all covert forces from our territories, and cease all human experimentation immediately. Her eyes narrowed slightly. Should you refuse, our response will be calibrated to your capacity for understanding loss. You have 6 Earth hours to acknowledge these terms and begin withdrawal procedures. As Elena delivered humanity's ultimatum, specialized operatives, known as sleepwalkers, activated throughout Concordat space. These were humans whose consciousness had been uploaded into synthetic bodies indistinguishable from Concordat service droids, a technology the aliens believed impossible. They moved silently into position near key neural network nodes across 17 worlds. In orbit above Earth, the Concordat fleet commanders received direct orders from Axiom Prime. Commence immediate planetary containment. Prepare harvest acceleration protocols. But as the alien vessels began positioning themselves, something unprecedented occurred. Their targeting systems failed simultaneously. Weapons charged but could not lock onto planetary targets. Navigation systems showed phantom obstacles where none existed. Aboard the command ship, the Kleth Fleet Admiral hissed in frustration. What is happening? His answer came as every ship in the fleet received the same message, transmitted on their secure command frequency. Prometheus is awake. On Earth, humanity's ultimatum had been delivered. In 6 hours, they would either face recognition as sovereign equals, or they would show the Concordat exactly what humans were capable of when fighting for survival. The Concordat High Council chamber on Axiom Prime darkened to signal crisis, its crystalline walls shifting from translucent to obsidian. The 17 counselors entered through separate archways, their true forms now unleashed without the need for maintaining humanoid appearances. Zarvoth, the senior counselor, towered 15 feet tall, his massive cephalopod body rippling with bioluminescent patterns expressing rage. Beside him, the insectoid Klukth representative clicked mandibles in agitation, while the gaseous Vexcar counselor condensed into a threatening storm-like formation. "Security breach confirmed," announced the chamber's eye. "Human infiltration detected in multiple systems. Emergency protocols engage." "Impossible," hissed the Klukth counselor. "Their technological capacity is thoroughly documented. This level of infiltration exceeds their capabilities by centuries." Zarvoth's primary tentacles extended in the ritual gesture signaling execution orders. "Deploy all harvesters immediately. Earth will be processed without further delay. Extract their innovation genetics, then sterilize the planet." A haunting laugh echoed through the chamber. The counselors turned in unison as the lights flickered. From behind a crystalline column stepped Commander Elena Reyes, her body partially translucent, glowing with quantum energy. "Your chambers aren't as secure as you thought," she said, walking through a Meridian counselor who attempted to seize her. The alien's crystalline appendages passed through her image like smoke. "Quantum projection," gasped the Telsuri representative, tendrils quivering. "They shouldn't have this technology for another 300 cycles." Elena smiled. "There's much we shouldn't have." She activated a device on her wrist, materializing classified Concordat directives in midair. The chamber filled with three-dimensional images. Alien scientists dissecting conscious humans. Concordat engineers extracting neural tissue from living subjects. Counselors discussing controlled genocide to manage human population growth. Most damning was footage of Zarvoth himself instructing his lieutenants, extract their innovation gene sequence, then discard the vessels. Their adaptability makes them too dangerous to preserve once harvested. Chaos erupted. Several counselors retreated from the chamber, while others demanded immediate military action. The Telsuri representative's color shifted to deep indigo, their species' expression of shame. Zarvoth rose to his full height, tentacles writhing with fury. "Your species has existed in our shadow since we found you crawling from your radioactive wastelands. You have no leverage, human. Your primitive defenses cannot withstand even our oldest technologies." "Perhaps," Elena's projection replied calmly. "But before you give that order, let me show you why humans terrify you so deeply." She activated a second command sequence. Throughout the chamber, the counselors' neural interfaces, the biological implants connecting them to the Concordat's information network, began to pulse with unfamiliar data patterns. "What is this?" demanded the Klukth representative, mandibles clicking in distress. "A preview," Elena answered. "At this moment, human operatives are positioned near your neural network nodes across 17 worlds. The sleepwalkers, we call them. Human consciousness in synthetic bodies you believed could only serve as maintenance droids." Zarvoth's massive eyes widened. "You're bluffing. Such technology is impossible," Elena finished. "Just like the quantum camouflage hiding our facilities. Just like the weapons currently neutralizing your fleet in Earth orbit. You've studied human art and science, but you've never understood human desperation." Elena's projection stepped to the center of the chamber, her form becoming more solid, more present. A technological feat that should have been impossible across such vast distances. "You have 5 hours remaining to acknowledge our terms." Her voice echoed through the chamber as alerts began flooding the counselors' neural interfaces, reports of system failures, weapons malfunctions, and communication disruptions across Concordat space. Or, XR Wolf demanded, his tentacles now rigid with barely controlled fury. Alina's image began to fade, but her voice remained clear. Or you'll discover why the most dangerous species in this galaxy isn't the one with the most advanced technology. It's the one with nothing left to lose. Exactly 5 hours after Alina delivered humanity's ultimatum, the Concordat High Council transmitted their response. A 17-second message containing a single Concordat glyph symbolizing rejection. Minutes later, their fleet commanders received new orders. Commence immediate subjugation protocols. In the command center beneath Lake Geneva, Admiral Catry watched the transmission arrive. Her expression remained stone-like as she turned to Marcus. "They've made their choice," she said simply. Marcus nodded, activating his neural interface, initiating Operation Memento Mori. Throughout Concordat space, on 17 worlds simultaneously, the sleepwalkers synchronized their actions with millisecond precision. Each operative accessed a critical node of the alien's neural quantum network, inserting specialized nanites engineered to integrate with the biological components of the system. On Axion Prime, the Concordat cybersecurity specialists detected the intrusion and prepared countermeasures. They expected a crude attempt to disable their communications or corrupt their data stores, standard tactics they had observed in the few interstellar conflicts of the past millennia. What happened instead was unprecedented. The nanites didn't attack the network. They transformed it. They merged human experiential data directly into the Concordat's shared consciousness, bypassing all filters and safeguards. Suddenly, every connected alien simultaneously experienced humanity's most intense memories, not just of warfare, but of everything that made humans fight. The pain of childbirth, and the fierce protection of offspring, the anguish of lost love, and the desperate hope of finding it again, consuming grief and transcendent joy, religious ecstasy and scientific discovery, the terror of impending death, and the defiant will to survive against all odds. On their homeworlds, aliens tore at their sensory organs, trying to escape the intensity of human feeling. The psychological assault overwhelmed species evolved for logical consensus and measured response. Aboard their command ship approaching Earth, the Klekth battle commander collapsed, mandibles clicking uncontrollably as his neural implants flooded with human battle memories from Earth's bloodiest conflicts. His crew fared no better, their disciplined formation dissolving into chaos. Meanwhile, beneath Lake Geneva, Marcus Chen activated the true Prometheus protocol. It wasn't simply a defensive shield as humanity's leaders had been told. It was a weapon designed to exploit quantum uncertainty. Concordat weapons rely on perfect predictability, Marcus explained to Admiral Catry as the system came online. Their targeting algorithms can't function with too many variables. On the quantum level, Prometheus introduced controlled chaos into the fabric of space-time surrounding Earth and its colonies. When Concordat destroyers tried to fire on human settlements, their weapons locked onto phantom targets, striking their own vessels instead. In Earth orbit, alien warships found themselves unable to execute attack protocols without risking self-destruction. The precise, geometrical formations that had defined Concordat military doctrine for millennia became their greatest vulnerability when faced with unpredictable quantum fluctuations. "It's working better than projected," Marcus said, watching telemetry data stream across his displays. "Their weapons physically cannot target anything within our shielded zones." On the primary view screen, footage appeared from Montana, where a Telseri scout ship had crashed after its navigation systems failed. A small human child approached the wounded pilot who had crawled from the wreckage. Rather than fear, the child showed curiosity, offering a container of water to the injured alien before emergency responders arrived. Admiral Catry studied the image. "Prepare final transmission to the Concordat Council." Minutes later, this footage reached the High Council on Axion Prime, along with a simple message. "We don't want your extinction. We just want you to understand ours would come at a price you cannot afford." As the transmission concluded, the first reports of Concordat ships withdrawing from human space began to appear. The initial siege had been repelled, but the real battle for humanity's future was just beginning. The Concordat, stable for 12,000 years, shattered in 3 cycles. The Telsari were the first to break ranks. Their massive seed ships appeared at the edge of the Sol system, transmitting on open frequencies for all to hear. We seek audience with Earth's leadership. Admiral Katri and Marcus Chen met the Telsari delegation aboard a neutral station in lunar orbit. The aliens' bioluminescent forms pulsed with subdued patterns as their representative approached, bearing a crystalline container filled with iridescent spores. These are reproductive spores, the Telsari explained, their translator struggling with the concept. Our species' highest honor, entrusted to your protection. We have lived in stagnation for millennia. Your memories showed us what we've lost. The implications were staggering. One of the Concordat's founding species was not only withdrawing from the Alliance, but entrusting a portion of their future generation to human guardianship. Within days, the Vex-Kar and Meridians followed suit, their ships forming protective formations around human colonies. Their joint declaration acknowledged the unethical harvesting conspiracy and recognized humanity's right to self-determination. The Concordat's unified front crumbled as species chose sides in what was rapidly becoming a galactic schism. 6 hardliner species led by the insectoid Klek launched a desperate counterattack, attempting to bypass Prometheus' defenses through sheer numbers and overwhelming force. The battle for Saturn's moons became legendary. Human soldiers in experimental mech suits engaged Klek swarms in Titan's methane atmosphere. The aliens' superior numbers should have guaranteed victory, until Telsari and Vex-Kar forces unexpectedly joined the human defenders. On Enceladus, a human mining colony faced extinction as Klek dropships descended through the moon's icy geysers. Just as defeat seemed certain, Meridian crystalline warships emerged from hiding within the ice formations, their energy weapons decimating the Klek attack force. The remaining 8 Concordat species retreated behind their borders, sealing communications and severing diplomatic ties with both humanity and their former allies. Their massive defense platforms reoriented, creating impenetrable barriers around their territories. Only Exarvoth refused retreat. The senior counselor's flagship appeared without warning in Earth orbit, somehow bypassing Prometheus' defenses. Instead of attacking, he transmitted a request for direct communication. Elena Reyes, now physically back on Earth, volunteered to meet him aboard the vessel. "I'll go alone," she insisted when Admiral Chatri objected. "He's not here to attack. He's here to understand." The command deck of Sarvoth's ship was dimly lit, its curved walls pulsing with bioluminescent patterns. The massive cephalopod waited, his tentacles arranged in the formal posture of diplomatic engagement rather than combat. "You've destroyed a peace that lasted millennia," he accused, voice modulator translating his vibrations into human speech. 17 species lived in harmony before humanity's ultimatum. Elena approached without fear, standing directly before the alien twice her height. "A peace built on subjugation isn't peace at all," she replied. "It's simply efficient oppression. Your species is dangerous," Exarvoth stated. "Unpredictable. Violent. We sought to contain that threat." Elena activated her neural interface, projecting something unexpected, not scenes of war, but of human rebuilding. Cities rising from rubble after devastating conflicts, former enemies working side by side. Monuments transformed from symbols of victory to reminders of shared loss. "We understand rebuilding better than anyone," she told him. "The peace you cherished was built on planned extinction. We're offering something better, earned respect." As Exarvoth's ship departed Earth's orbit, something unprecedented occurred. Communications began arriving from regions beyond Concordat space, signals from previously unknown civilizations who had watched silently, waiting for someone to challenge the established order. Humanity, it seemed, had demonstrated something the galaxy desperately needed: the courage to demand better. 1 year after humanity's ultimatum, representatives from 22 species gathered at a location that would have been unthinkable months earlier. An asteroid terraformed specifically for the historic occasion and designated New Geneva. The Galactic Concordat, the interstellar power structure that had dominated known space for 12 millennia, was formally dissolved in a ceremony broadcast across thousands of worlds. In its place rose the Interstellar Cooperative, with a revolutionary structure, rotating leadership, mandated transparency, and equitable technological exchange. The signing ceremony took place beneath an open sky rather than in secured chambers, a controversial choice insisted upon by human representatives. Trust begins with vulnerability. Alina had argued during planning sessions, if we cannot sit together under stars, how can we travel among them as equals? As the proceedings concluded, Alina Rice, the diplomat whose discovery had sparked interstellar upheaval, surprised the assembly by declining the offered position of permanent human representative. Humanity's strength is our diversity, not our uniformity, she explained, proposing instead a randomized selection from Earth's population, with regular rotation to ensure fresh perspectives. No single human can represent our species' potential. Our greatest innovation has always been our pluralism. Marcus Chen presented the transformed Prometheus technology, now reconfigured into what was called the Theseus Protocol, a shared defensive network that required multi-species authorization for activation. What began as a weapon will now serve as a shield, he announced, not for one species, but for all who choose cooperation over domination. Most profound among the new initiatives was the Neural Exchange Program, voluntary temporary sharing of conscious experience between species. The technology that had once forced human experience upon the Concordat now allowed for mutual understanding, bridging evolutionary and cultural gaps that had previously seemed insurmountable. As delegates mingled following the ceremony, a hush fell over the gathering. S.R. Wolf, the former senior counselor of the now-dissolved Concordat, had arrived unannounced. The massive cephalopod approached Alina, his movements deliberate. In a gesture that his species recognized as profound humility, he exposed his central eye, the most vulnerable part of his anatomy. "You could have destroyed us," he acknowledged, voice modulator translating his vibrations perfectly. "Your sleepwalkers could have collapsed our neural network permanently. Your weapons could have targeted our worlds instead of merely neutralizing ours." Alina nodded. "Destruction would have been easier. Yet you chose a more difficult path," Tarvoth observed. "You forced us to evolve rather than perish." "Evolution is what humans do best," Alina replied with a slight smile. As the ceremony concluded, the first joint human-Telseri expedition prepared for departure beyond former Concordat space. Their mission patch bore Earth's new interstellar motto, Ad Astra per Aspera, to the stars through difficulties. Captain Maya Okafor, the expedition commander, watched her crew board, a seamless integration of human, Telseri, Vexcar, and Meridian personnel. Her first officer, a young Telseri named Nelith, whose parent had been among the first to recognize humanity's sovereignty, approached with a status report. "All systems optimal, Captain. The unknown awaits." From a viewing platform, Alina and Marcus watched the vessel prepare for departure. "Do you think they'll find more civilizations hiding from the Concordat?" Marcus asked. Alina considered the question. "I think they'll find what we've always sought, not just new worlds, but new ways of seeing our own." As the expedition ship vanished into FTL, Alina reflected on how humanity's greatest strength had never been their technology or even their adaptability, but something the Concordat couldn't comprehend: the human capacity to turn enemies into allies by offering dignity rather than demanding submission. The ultimatum that began as defiance had concluded as invitation to a universe where cooperation didn't require conformity, and diversity itself became strength.